Welcome to Living the Empowered Life podcast, where we discuss all things empowering, encouraging, and inspiring. My name is Yvonne Ellis. I'm an empowerment speaker, author, coach, trainer, and founder of Yumi Empowerment, a company that facilitates the empowerment of people. I help people to make positive life change, live in their purpose, and develop into their best version of self. I share stories, interviews, spiritual encouragement, and actionable tips to empower, encourage, and inspire you to live the life you want. So if you want to live the empowered life, join me each week on my podcast so we can take the journey together. Hello, Empowered Lifers. Welcome to Living the Empowered Life podcast. My name is Yvonne. I am your host. This podcast is about bringing you all things empowering, encouraging, and inspiring. This is episode 112, and if it's your first time joining me, welcome. I hope you find this episode to be something of value to you. Please do check out my other episodes of Living the Empowered Life podcast, all 111 of them. And to my continued listeners, thank you for bearing with me and for listening and supporting this podcast, especially over the last couple of months. I have been having real issues with doing episodes of this podcast. I did miss an episode again a couple of weeks ago. My equipment didn't seem to be working right, and it had to do with apparently too much stuff in the memory. So I've had to spend a lot of time going through files, going through lots of different things, even stuff to do with emails. I didn't know that having too many emails in your inbox can also cause memory problems with, your MacBook. So basically, I've had to just go through everything and get rid of a lot of stuff. That has taken time. So now I have kind of decluttered my iMac and I'm ready to start recording again. But apologies for missing the last episode a couple of weeks ago, but I'm back now and we're going to focus on the positive, because living the empowered life is about focusing on the positive. As you know, guys, I always put you guys first, always do these episodes consistently for you. But over the last couple of months, it's been one thing after another. But we're going to move on, going forward, being positive and focusing on helping you and I to live an empowered life. So this podcast is all about empowering, motivating and encouraging content. And if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, please do go to Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can also listen to the audio on Living the Empowered Life YouTube channel, or if you go to yumiempowerment.com and press the tab for the podcast, you can listen straight from the website. So do follow or subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're on so that you can get the notifications. So guys, today is a short but powerful podcast episode. I want to share with you 5 quick ways to improve your life. Now, we know that nothing really is a quick fix in life. Things have to go through a process, things take time and stuff like that. But I wanted to do a podcast today with just some quick little wins that don't have to be built up in steps. And before I do that, I just want to share with you a couple of little quotes to help you, and it's all about this subject. So the first quote is by Martin Luther King Jr. and it says, "If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way." I think that's just absolutely perfect. It doesn't have to be great things, but small things done in a great way is absolutely fine. So the next quote I want to share with you is by Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins is a huge personality within the personal development space. And the quote says, "The time is now. Stop hitting the snooze button on your life." Couldn't agree more. Why put off tomorrow what you can do today? I think that's how the saying goes. Just do it today. Don't put it off till tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. Procrastination sets in and you'll end up not doing it. And the last quote I want to share with you is by Maya Angelou. And she says, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive." Yes, guys, living the empowered life is about thriving. When you get to a stage when you have had enough of surviving, just going day by day through life, not doing the things that you want to do, just coping, That is when you've made a decision. So guys, as I mentioned, today's episode is about sharing with you 5 quick ways to improve your life. And the wonderful thing about it, you don't have to hit the snooze button on your life to do it. You can start today. You don't have to wait for the perfect time to start. These things are small but mighty shifts that you can do today. So the first thing I want to share with you is to start your day with purpose. What is the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? Don't just wake up and start scrolling on your phone. Start your day with intention. Now, it's so easy to get up and start looking at your phone because obviously if you don't have an alarm clock, a lot of people probably don't know what that is, especially the older generation, the younger generation, because, they do everything on their smartphone. But for those of us who grew up in the 80s and 70s and, grew up in that time period, even 90s, we had things called alarm clocks. And when the alarm clock used to go off, we used to just hit the button, the snooze button, and have a 15-minute more, lie in bed. And obviously now it's done through the mobile phone, and what happens with the mobile phone, besides hitting the snooze button, you can also end up scrolling on social media. And a lot of people do that. I have done it myself at times, just out of a really horrible habit that I've developed. But one of the things I've always said that helps me to start my day is to start it with intention. So my intention when I wake up is, once I have got out of the bed, is to go into my home office and spend time with God. Spending that first fruit of the morning with the Lord, reading my Bible, singing songs of worship, sometimes just sitting in the quietness of the morning, pondering what I've read, preparing myself for the day, helps me so much. It is something I always intend to do every single day. Now, some days have been better than others, depending on, how tired I've been and stuff like that. But for a very long time, at least since 2017, 2018, this is something I try and do every single day. Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 5:30, spending time with God, doing my exercise and stuff. I really do find it sets me up for the day. So one of the things you need to be asking yourself when you wake up, before you start scrolling, is asking yourself, what energy do I want to carry into my day? You need to set yourself one simple goal or even an affirmation. For example, today I choose peace. Today I choose to be intentional. Even if you have just a 5-minute routine in the morning, like breathing, journaling, praying, reading something uplifting, it can set the tone for your day. And, when you do that, you own your morning with power. So I want you to think about what's one intention you can set for tomorrow morning that you can add to the beginning of your day, that you can do. Something that is away from scrolling, something that is away from any kind of things that are to do with negative stuff, something that will positively empower your day. Think about it. The next thing I want to share with you is something that I've talked about through different episodes of my podcast in different ways. It's about speaking kindly to yourself. Now, I've done episodes on negative self-talk and being critical of yourself. And one of the things that can really set a horrible tone for your day is if you are talking down about yourself. I don't think a lot of people realise that self-talk is really, really powerful. After all, it does say in the Word of God in the book of Proverbs that life and death is found in the power of the tongue, and those that eat its fruit, thereof will reap what they say. So basically, death and life is found in the power of the tongue. And if you're speaking negative things over yourself, obviously that's going to have an effect on what you do and have an effect on your mindset. The words you say to yourself can help shape your confidence, your choices, and your energy. Because, a lot of people don't, as I said, think about negative self-talk and the things that they're saying to themselves. So many people go through their life, and I was like this for a very long time, narrating failures instead of strengths. I think it's time that we flip that. Start catching yourself when you say things like, I'm not good enough, or I'm always making mistakes, or I always mess up. If you are saying those things, try and reframe them with things like, I am learning, I am growing, I am trying to do my best. You deserve compassion, not just from others, but for yourself. So have a think about what you can start to do different. What's one negative thing that you've been telling yourself? And I want you to write this down, this negative thing, and think about how you can reframe it. What can you say instead? This one is so important, so important. I think a lot of people underestimate how intrusive this thing is. And I did kind of talk about it in the first point. It's to do with taking digital breaks, particularly from social media. A lot of the time, a lot of us have our phones in our hands. Whether we're walking along, whether we're sitting down, whether we're waiting for an appointment, a lot of us always have our phones in our hands. And it becomes like this thing that is hard to detach ourselves from. And one of the things that I have been doing intentionally throughout the week is having digital breaks. I have set timers on my phone for how many minutes or hours I allow myself to be on social media. And I feel horrible to even admit there has been times where I've spent hours on social media, whether that's 2 hours, 3 hours. That is something that I just don't want in my life like that. And obviously I do content creation and I post content. So I do upload videos on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and stuff. But I think that even when I do upload, I have a tendency to then look through other people's content and be scrolling. And I want to totally get rid of that for the second half of this year. I don't want to spend more than 1 hour a day on any media platforms, especially TikTok. It's important that we all unplug. It is something that I feel is really important because it's about, taking our mind away from distractions, taking those small breaks during the day. Even if, you are an habitual scroller, if you set yourself like small goals of like 10 minutes with no scrolling, or, you can start with small times like that, 10 minutes, taking a break, just breathing, walking, being present, reading a book. It's really going to help you. I have found since I've been aware of my kind of scrolling habit, which I don't do intentionally, becoming aware of it and then doing something about it has been helping me in my day. My mind just feels so much calmer. And it is very easy as well when you're going to bed to start scrolling as you wind down for the day. But, there has been lots of research and things out there that says actually what you do is overstimulate your mind, and it makes it harder for you to go to sleep and stuff because you've got all these images and things going around in your mind. So if you can carve out 1 hour before going to bed to unplug, you will find that you will get better sleep and reconnect with your thoughts, your body and your goals. I have found that I get a better sleep when I'm not scrolling on social media before bed, and I've intentionally made sure now that I'm going back to reading my book or my Bible or something before bedtime. I don't know where these habits have kind of picked themselves up from, and I know that I can do without social media and scrolling before bed. I grew up in the 80s. In the 80s there wasn't no internet or anything like that, so it's not like I can't live without this thing. So as I encourage myself, I encourage you as well, guys. Try and take digital breaks when you can. Your mind will be better for it. Another quick thing to help you to improve your life is to learn something new. It's a way to improve your life, to feed your mind. Learning something new can involve reading a few pages of a new book. That's one of my favourite things to do. Or you could watch a TED Talk or sign up for a free course. Learning expands your thinking and reminds you that growth is still possible at any age and any stage. So even if you feel that you haven't done anything in a while that has helped you to self-improve or to personally develop, you can still do something now. What kind of things interest you, pique your interest? What kind of things did you want to do when you were younger that maybe you have put aside and life has just taken over and you haven't even thought about doing again? Think about those types of things. It doesn't have to be anything academic. It can be something creative, something you're passionate about, something practical. It could be something spiritual, maybe connecting with God more. The goal is to stay open and curious. So think about what's something you've always wanted to learn but haven't started. So I've been looking into drumming lessons. It's something that I enjoyed when I was in the care system. I was really good at playing the drums. Obviously, leaving the care system and getting to do all these kind of new and quirky things that I wouldn't have been able to do whilst I wasn't in the care system, was a great experience. So I am looking at trying to find a drumming tutor at the moment. I will let you know how I get on with that, but I would like to start playing the drums again and also at some point playing the piano, because I was very good at playing the piano when I was a teenager. I've always said to my husband Stephen that, one day, if and when we do make it big, I'm definitely having a piano in my new house. So, take time to think about what it is you want to learn, something new. And yeah, I look forward to hearing what kind of things that you're thinking about. So the last thing I want to share with you is to connect intentionally. For a lot of people, relationships are a big part of their life. Sometimes a lot of people don't think about the types of relationships they have with people and the quality of those relationships. A lot of people value relationships on lots of superficial things. I have 2 or 3 close people to me, women who are actually older than me, that I consider to be very, very good friends of mine. They're trustworthy. I describe them as people who have poured into my life in all kinds of ways, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I don't feel any way about saying I only have 3 good friends like this in my life, and we don't speak often. We're all very busy people, but when we connect, it's always intentionally and it's always a very quality time when we talk to each other. And it's not about the number of friends for me. It's not about the number of people I have in my life. As a matter of fact, the older I get, the less people I need in my life, the more happier I've been and the more peaceful I've felt. So for me, it's not about the number, it's about the quality. And I think if you are going to connect intentionally with people, it should be about quality, not about the number of people that you connect with. Now, another way to pour into people intentionally is to pray for them, or to, reach out to somebody you may be thinking about and saying, I'm thinking about you. Sending a voice note or something, or planning a coffee date. We are wired as humans for connection. And it's one of the most healing things that we can do, especially with the right people in the right way. So guys, that is the end of this episode. And I just want to quickly just remind you about 5 quick ways to improve your life. Start your day with purpose. Speak kindly to yourself. Take digital breaks. Connect intentionally. And try something new. So remember, small shifts lead to big transformations. You do not need to have a full life overhaul, just one courageous step at a time. As we finish this episode, I want to share with you the Bible scripture for today. It comes from Psalms 37:23-24. It says, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his righteous right hand." One of my favourite Bible scriptures. Even when we take those small steps and we stumble and fall, if we look to Jesus, if we look to God for help, for reassurance, for strength, for guidance, he will uphold us. He will help us when we stumble. And remember, even if you stumble, it doesn't mean that you've fallen down completely. Stumbling just means a setback. As long as you have that intention focus in your heart that you want to improve, going forward step by step, day by day, it will happen for you. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. Everything takes time. Transformation takes time. Living that empowered life takes time. So if today's episode has encouraged you, please do share it with a friend, neighbour, colleague, associate, acquaintance, whoever you feel needs a dose of living the empowered life. And remember, you are more powerful than you think. If you want to check out any of the things that I have done to do with helping people to live an empowered life, please do visit the show notes for all description links. And until the next time, take care.